Yeah.
Or no, wait.
Anthracite.
No,
Was
it was
it?
something else. Anthracite was more. Anthracite reminded me of Slingshot.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of. I was thinking Slingshot. Yeah. That's what I was trying to refer to. You're right.
We are live.
Hey.
Gotta find the link. Put it in there for everybody.
Let's hope for the volume check. Everyone give us the
I can
volume
check because I think it popped up in my sub feed, so we can.
I can't even find mine.
Dab. Let me see. I'll dab them up.
There it is. Golly, man, the screen. I might have to change my.
I'll ping the drivers. I'll get the pings. I'll get the pings right now.
Does it look alright, y'all?
Turn your brightness down. Yeah, it looks good to me, man.
Yeah.
Golly, man. Hold on. Might have to change that. Alright.
What's wrong?
Just, it was bright as hell. It was so bright.
That's your monitor, man.
Y'all probably couldn't see it. I mean, it was bright.
Alright, I'm about to post in just a bit, so, yeah.
That's your monitor talking, my man.
Yep, got the drivers, owners, so we should be Gucci there.
We got Richard Johnson, who's going to be on pole for the 500. Rodriguez, Harpole, England. Sanford, in the 8 car. Davidson, Hart, Shelley, Marchese, Bobby Jones. We're going to pause for station identification. Just real quick, just for a second. All right, we're back.
We're back and we're already green. It's lit.
And that's already better than Fox footage.
Hey, at least as long as we scream a little bit, we'll be doing 10 times better than what Fox will do. It doesn't even show anymore the viewers in the top right, so that's gonna kind of suck.
You got 9 watching right now, so.
Oh, DJ is watching, yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna do that too. I was gonna start reading stream comments, mean comments, SCS Stream Edition.
Richard Johnson, one of them Gorga homers. You know, he's got to race his. He doesn't have to race his way in, but if he races in as one of the top 2 Gorga homers, inadvertently will help somebody else. Look at Jacob Hart. Hart in the 84 leans over on Sanford. Sanford in the 8 car. You know, this 18 for what was CM Racing last season. Won a couple races. That team fought for top 5 in the championship. And a lot of question marks with Charles Sanford and Ryan Acosta this season. I'm not entirely sure where they're going to actually be in terms of pace for this season.
Yeah, it really makes a lot, you know. So many different drivers, new faces, really. A lot of new paint schemes. This really makes this series really kind of, I guess, diverse in its own manner, though. But already look at the comforting lead that Richard Johnson has already off of turn 4. They're already 3 wide, like basically a gazillion rows deep, though. Some early shenanigans, some early desperation here at Daytona. It's going to be very interesting to see how aggressive these drivers are going to get and the way they're going to position themselves really for the remainder of this duel.
Does it sound like there's some static? I don't know if that's just me or not. Might just be on my end. I heard it a little bit when you were talking.
I heard a little static, but I wasn't sure where it was coming from.
Might be from my mic, but
already
not 100% sure.
How about the Gunkelmans?
Good.
The Gunkelmans this week were probably the star of Speed Weeks. The infield, well, Benjamin Snyder already in the 12, losing the draft. I don't think we were really too surprised with the way they were slow in qualifying.
We got another straggler here. Some guys are doing their best to just follow the wake of the car in front of them and hope they don't lose draft. Because without a caution, losing the draft here is pretty much going to end their chances unless this turns into a fuel mileage race.
really sus off of turn 2 there. They were about nearly some people going for gaps that not really are meant to exist quite yet. You see there, and already 3 wide for the lead. Gonna be very fun. Ooh, look at Matt Roddy try to go down the inside. Jeffrey White trying to let him in. And gets there in time, but now we've got ourselves a good lead change off of turn number 4 there. And how about that Martin Motorsports entry? The front, they're one of those teams trying to get back on the rise, back to their glory days, more or less, here. As lap number 4 concludes, we begin lap number 5.
Vince Freeze has kind of came into his own a little bit as a super speedway racer. His first top 5 was at Talladega in 2021. And then 2022, last year, he won that Talladega. So he's actually been very well on the super speedways, so it's not too surprising to see him up here racing for the lead. But you see 3x3 all the way back. Shrigley getting the push from Richard. Richard's been very fast.
Yeah, that 37 car is really tuned out, and you know, maybe if one of these cars gets a W, we can fund one of our commentators a new microphone, because the static be real.
The static is definitely there. Another driver that's good with the super speedways. Look at Matthew Rodriguez. First ever Sony Cup Series race back in season 14. He won the Daytona 500. So Rodriguez, I mentioned it a little bit in qualifying, but last 2 years as a full-time teammate alongside Dylan Schwallenberg, Schwallenberg has been way better than Rodriguez at the race team, and that's his own race team. And to have Dylan up there fighting for championships and wins a whole lot more than Matthew, you know, I think Rodriguez is going to try this season to try and get back to where he was in 2020, where he entered the finale as a realistic championship contender, but it's just not really panned out for him the last 2 years. He wants to be up there just like Dylan is, fighting for championships. Oh, boy. Losing a little bit of something there. That'll happen.
We're losing a little bit of something. Don't mind the technical difficulties. This isn't NBC, no worries.
Joseph Shrigley right back to the lead. And it looks like A.J. Jones has already lost a draft with Benjamin Snyder.
Man, Benjamin Snyder, is he even making minimum speed? I mean, that car is just dragging down the straightaway. Wow, 185. Okay, yeah, I'd say they're making minimum speed.
I'm actually a whole lot more impressed. That team couldn't even reach 50 seconds by itself in qualifying, so whatever they've done, they're a whole lot faster in the actual race. A.J. Jones just up ahead, also out of the draft.
Yeah, you hate to see that for AJ. He had such a good qualifying run last night for the Napa Truck Series race that's coming up this weekend. He'll be starting second on the front row with Griffin Lapel McDermott. So, actually, fun fact about that front row, it's the 84 on pole and the 42 in second. So, 42 is half of 84.
You're giving me some quick maths here with all that, you know.
About blew my brain for a moment there, Zach. I just about couldn't comprehend that.
I'm sorry. I'm going to have to keep the math talk away from the broadcast crew.
Rodriguez is still staying up here with the lead. Same with Shrigley. You know, the top's kind of really good. But how about that 57, though? Perkins has to race his way in. I mean, he's got a chance to fall back on speed, right? But he's 5th fastest. Top 6 theoretically has a chance to fall back on speed, but anybody at Daytona and Talladega can win, and we're kind of seeing that here with the 57 car inside the top 5, and that's kind of where Perkins needs to be to race his way in. And, well, Sean Perkins, Kyle Collins, 57 and 39, they are the top 2 of the Gorga Homers.
Yep, so far so good. You know, field's kind of composed right now. Again, we had some stragglers, but that will actually play as a big, really variable in how really the lead pack will actually like navigate their way around said lap traffic. You know, with the Gunkelmans just not up to par and pace. And well, right now Matt Robb with a good lead there, but again, still 3 wide action, pretty tame though. In contrast with the shootout, though, you know, the shootout, a lot of wrecks here and there, a lot of silly mistakes, some drivers to and fro, experienced drivers more or less though, but big full-fledged field in this one, you know, with all the huge entries and all. And here we go, Monster Energy car going at it.
Yeah, I've got a conspiracy theory. I think those cars in the shootout were secretly cars from last year, and the drivers were told to just wreck them up because they weren't going to be worth anything anymore. So they were like, yeah, just wreck them up. They're the safest things we've got. You'll be fine. No concussion protocol needed.
That shootout, you could tell it was just a 20-lap, just beat them up, just go for the win kind of race, because they laid it all on the line. They were wrecking coming back to the start-finish line with nothing really to be gained. That was something last Friday. They're racing like they have to protect their race car for Sunday, though. This is the Daytona 500 race car. Look at Richard Johnson already making a move on Vince Freeze. Car just handles so much better than everybody else. One guy that we want to talk about, Bobby Jones. He led a little bit earlier. We haven't talked about him. He's been very competitive too. Monster Energy Racing, usually not that good on the super speedways, but they have proved everybody wrong with the next gen so far.
Yeah, I think it really comes to show also just the progression of the next gen itself. It's supposed to really play as like an evenizer for a lot of drivers, and a lot of teams alike. So some new teams might come out to play, and well, maybe some might falter due to the new regulations. That's really just up to how the owners and drivers really adapt to these cars. New package, new everything, but still a lot of the same faces around the FBRL.
Next lap, same move. Richard Johnson to the inside. That's 3 wide for the transfer position. 57, 37, 39. Collins in the 39 for Curtis Racing. He has no safety net. He was the 7th fastest of the Gurga homers in qualifying, which was a little surprising given that teammate Cody Lamas in the 48 is on the front row for the Daytona 500. Oh, man, the 56.
Oh, he checked up heavy there. I think the tires are starting to wear just a little bit. We've seen the top side be really strong from the green flag drop, but I think we're especially going to see the top side come in even stronger as the run goes on.
How about to the outside of Cloud there? That's Alex Bignacco.
Pretty strong. You know what's also the big factor, the big thing I've kind of noticed is that nobody's really hit the wall yet off a turn 4. We kind of saw that a lot, like a reoccurring theme throughout the shootout, and now we just see, I think, a lot of drivers kind of learning, taking their notes really from that race itself, and well, applying it over to this race. And also the conditions are a little bit different there. Obviously it's daytime, so big change whatsoever, but really determines how the car can handle.
Yeah, I like to think that the LED lights from the big lights along the track put more heat on the track than the actual sun.
I think there was a full moon out last Friday for the Sony shootout.
Yeah, you could argue a werewolf basically came out to play during that whole race.
The Gunkelmans had oil on the racetrack.
But some voodoo magic.
MER has teamed up to the high side. Richard Johnson, Bobby Jones. But Matthew Rodriguez, he has led for a while, hasn't he? Been able to keep the lead, blocking all the grooves. But here comes Richard Johnson. He has a run.
Gosh, Monster Energy, they're just such a strong team. They've been so strong last year with Daejeon Weeks, but really with the lineup they have, they look to be one of the favorites coming into this championship fight. And right now, they're putting on a really good statement. Teammates working together here, and well, actually, that didn't really last long as they went as really Bobby Jones went down the inside for himself. But if they're a very strong team, really AFRT didn't look as good as a Dodge team, at least in the latter half of last year. And really, Monster Energy kind of taking advantage of that, trying to be the top Dodge team.
One thing I've really noticed from these first 15 laps is the people that have been at the front have stayed at the front. That's the 47 of Bobby Jones, the 37 of Richard Johnson, the 9 of Matthew Rodriguez. Joseph Strigley's been up here. Vince Freeze has been up here. I haven't seen those 5 really go anywhere backwards. And I don't know if that's because they're managing the outside line well, the middle line well, what the case is, but they just haven't gone backwards.
Charles Sanford, speaking of that, he actually dropped back a good bit, and here he is fighting his way to the inside. Bobby Jones, though, he was working with Richard Johnson a couple laps ago, and then he made it 3 wide, but that was a big move to block Shrigley on the back straightaway. And if he didn't make that block, he was likely going to be behind Richard here on the top, going 3 wide. And Bobby took that run, and he's alongside of Rodriguez for the lead. Now he's getting the push from Richard again. And 3 wide behind the leaders.
Great racing all around, though. A lot of drivers just, you know, giving and taking. Well, still aggressive as always, but more or less, though, they're a lot more cautious around each other, which is a really, really good thing so far. Again, still a lot of race left. You know, we haven't reached the halfway point of this duel, but some drivers trying to figure out how their car works in dirty air, and, well, others, just as like Matt Rod and Bobby Jones, trying to figure out how it forms, well, leading the pack.
Davison got me a little worried there for a moment. Almost 4 wide. They did settle it back out, though. The transfer position is kind of held. Oh, they're 3 wide again. Sanford taking a big run to the inside, but it's kind of stayed with Richard Johnson and Kyle Collins being the transfer cars. Sean Perkins being the closest on the outside looking in. You see the cars
4
dance.
wide.
Oh, yeah, 4 wide. Marchese.
Wow.
Oh, this. Oh, contact.
Oh, no!
Sanford's around.
Sanford.
Oh, Shelley and.
Oh, squeezing.
Gotta give him room, gotta give him room.
Oh,
Shelley's
what's
still
James
on-
Shelley doing?
Shelley.
It's one way to make the inside line open up.
Good
Oh, we
Lord.
don't have a yellow line rule here, so I guess that's fair game.
Well, Sanford went to the front, dropped all the way back mid-pack, and then he fought his way back forward, only to get spun by the car he drove for last season. Everyone's going to stay on the lead lap. Caution flag is out, and it's Bobby Jones that's going to be in the lead.
Actually was a saving grace, though, for the other teams that kind of straggled out of that, you know?
There it is. You know, he had a big run there to the inside with Marchese. And Marchese kind of takes a run, but Sanford tire wear kicking in, got loose. And
Pushed up the
Marchese just
track,
didn't really,
understeered.
it's hard to tell, really. Gonna need to get another slow-mo look at it, but it looked as though maybe that Sanford had bounced off of Matt Rodriguez, and when he hit Rodriguez, he bounced back over into the line of the 83. But just 4 wide's just not really going to work. You see, Bobby Jones has all the room in the world, but Sanford's fighting for some real estate. Marchese does come up there.
Yeah, and I think that's natural with some setups, you know, in each car. Sometimes they just push off the corner, some push in, you know. And I think it's just really with not much room. That's kind of to be expected at Daytona. 4 wide, though, a bit too early here. You know, again, it was like lap 17 when that happened. But luckily for Charles Sanford, only a singular car that spun, literally just his own entity spun around. And James Shelley wanted to make a little show there. Went to the inside there of really, Anthony Marchese there. But more or less, though, no harm, no foul.
Well, I'm going to tell y'all what. I think with the closure of CM Racing over the off-season, I think a hex has been placed over the Chevy camp. I think I saw a black cat in the infield right before that 8 car got spun out. And I think it's just the start of more bad things to come for the Chevy camp.
Next thing you're going to say is that they're probably going to run under a ladder or something.
I did see some ladders in the infield too, but I think that's
Shoots
standard.
and ladders, that's a good game.
I think that's standard. Shoots and ladders, the corn song?
I mean, there's a game. There's a typical game.
Well, who hasn't played the game?
As long as the Gunkelmans are at the racetrack, I'd say anything's on the table.
Well, with the Gunkelmans at the racetrack, I wouldn't be surprised if we burned half the infield down after the duels tonight.
You just know it's going to be bring your own beer to the Gunkelman 10 tonight in the infield. On the restart, it's Bobby Jones. He left pit road first. It's been one of the cars to beat in this duel so far. As we're closing on halfway. With Silver Fox, we haven't talked about him a whole lot, but he left pit road second. Already going back to 4th. Davidson Rodriguez. Peter Onjak, haven't talked about him either. Some strategy getting himself up here. And Dylan Young's also in the top 10. Jacob Hart there in the transfer. No, he's not in the transfer position. It's Richard Johnson and Collins still. Dylan Young, we mentioned, restarting in the top 10. And Alex Bianco stepping away from full-time competition and really all together of the FBRL. But only this Daytona 500 effort with Morris Motorsports. The Jesus car was very slow in qualifying, but in a position here to strike for the top 2 to race in.
Yeah, that 89 car is looking pretty spiffy there in the draft. He's just got to make sure he can stay in the draft, not get put to the outside line right now, because If he gets put to the top right now, he will have no one behind him, I believe. Actually, no, they're starting to double file it up back there in the middle of the field, so he might not be totally out of it if he were to be passed here.
And I think those behind him, they'd have to work together, just to really reach that main pack of cars. But them going 3 wide, 2 wide, just right in front of them, that's really just going to help them quite a lot. It just drags everyone in slowly but surely here. And now we've reached near the halfway point of this race. Joseph Strigley's going to lead it.
Just saw Brad Stover in the Tommy Roberts racing car. Just with the duels, they bring a lot of storylines for drivers all over to try and attempt the Daytona 500, but that's Brad Stover's first attempt of a Sony Cup Series race, and it's with Tommy Roberts Racing, which they're not as much of a backmarker team as we would like to say, because the 38 crew, they've made some Sony Cup Series starts. They've been a part-time entry for many years, but still a little surprising that he was up as far as he actually is. But looking at some guys further back that are almost losing the draft, Jeff James actually ran well in the Sony shootout. He's back here with Doug Lockrow, 1 turn away from winning the 2019 Daytona 500. Francois Chastain has to race his way in. Hannah Allen back here with Charles Sanford. And it looks like A.J. Jones probably held up Lane Sanders and Aiden Shepard, because A.J. Jones in the 41 has been off the pace in this race. And I think they lost the draft there.
Yeah, I'm a bit surprised that Shepard really has kind of lost the draft, if anything, because you look at his team. He is certainly leading the pack right now. He's just kind of way in the back, but I mean, a lot of work to do for the HZG team itself. But Strigley, though, great start here. They come off turn 4. Kyle Collins sits in second. Couple Canadians leading the first 2 spots at the moment here as lap number 26 comes to an end.
Tilly Young ran really well in the Sony shootout. Finished top 5 there. Almost wondered if it wasn't because there were so many accidents and he kept his car clean, but he was very fast there and showing some pace inside the top 10. 3 wide for the lead.
And 3 wide for the lead indeed, as they are trying to make that bottom work as much as they can, because it's just not working a lot. And you can see with no help on the top side, it just kills the top outright. And yeah, they are still side by side at the start-finish line.
Rodriguez fighting his way back forward. He's got a fast car for this Daytona 500 Speed Weeks. Some of these guys you can just point out in this pack, they're probably going to be a favorite when it comes to the Daytona 500 Sunday. Rodriguez, you got to point him out. The 37 and the 47, the Monster Energy racing cars are quick. Vince Freeze, Joseph Strigley, very fast in this dual qualifier, and good candidates to put if you're a betting man on Sunday for putting one of those drivers on your slip.
Look who's coming up slowly but surely. Dylan Young's 07 car, really the Spartan team. They're starting to figure things out. They're one of those, I feel, under the radar teams in like the FBRL. They just seem to find their way just to weasel their way up towards the front, get some good results here. Pretty scary team to look at maybe in the years to come, but right now putting a pretty good start with Young's experience. That really could help with the building blocks of the organization in their Sony Cup program.
Did y'all see that? Silver Fox and Rodriguez, they just were not holding back. Just beating on each other, going through the tri-oval. And even into turn 1, just side by side. And here comes Richard. Poles that are trying to get back to the lead. And Dylan Young's just right behind him.
Ooh, looks another car coming up towards that field, or really a lot of other big names or smaller teams coming up is the S3 Motorsports team. It's Patrick Smith kind of running near the back half of the field. And that 04 kind of was really just near the end of the pack, kind of losing the draft, but they've caught up. Really look at how many cars are bundled up together here. Oh, they're going to go 4 wide here. Sean Harple.
Not again.
You don't want to force the issue. It could be deja vu for turn 2.
All over again.
It's just the exact clone of what happened with Charles Sanford. And, well, Dylan Young goes for a spin right as I was talking good about him, and, well, that didn't age well. Seems like I'm good at jinxing people, so...
Right as that happened, too, I was watching the 8 of Charles Sanford, and it looked like he was thinking about making it 4 wide at the very back of the pack, but he didn't do it. They went 4 wide in front of him, and Dylan Young takes a whole spinaroo.
Spartan Motorsports, they had found themselves back in the top 5 again, looking like a real threat to try and score points. We talked about for the qualifying session, new point system, top 10s will be very important, and Spartan Motorsports, they have a bullet for this Daytona Speed Weeks, and it could be one of their best chances to try and run well inside the top 10. Going to get another replay of what happened with Dylan Young. Saw him, came across the line. It said it. There he is, 6th place across the line. But Young following Richard Johnson to the front, and he just got bottomed out a little bit. Tire wear kicks in. Car just not handling all that well. Just, yeah, same thing. Looked like he may have got into Vince Freeze. A little different to what it was with Matthew Rodriguez and Charles Sanford in the wreck before, but it looks like Dylan Young pushes up instead of Harple pushing up. Yeah, Young actually pushes up into Freeze, it looks like. It's hard to tell. And then Freeze comes down, trying to save his race car, and Harple's just underneath of him.
Underneath, you said? Like underneath or on top of? Or I'm sorry, the other the 25 would have been on top of him. Yes, correct. But I don't think Jack Daniels and Coke mixed well in that situation.
I don't believe so either. I think really now it makes me wonder, like, if this is really going to be like a similar really idea or really a situation that's going to happen in the second duel, because it just seems like the 2 cautions that have come out have been due to just simple spins off of turn 2, really just starting off with a car initiating a 4 wide situation, just doesn't work off of turn 2, whether someone doesn't hold the bottom or just simply slides up the track. Well, you know what happens, just 1 car spins, no damage done for anybody else, and that's really it.
Well, I will say it's a lot better than what happened last year, I believe, in the 500, where we had people spin off of turn 2, and then drivers didn't merge back up as fast, and people just kamikazed it into turn 3. And yeah, that wasn't good. So I'm glad, despite the 2 spins, that we haven't seen people die in turn 3 yet today.
Well, coming back to the restart, second round of pit stops happened there, and Kyle Collins and team, not sure what they did on pit road, but it's got them up front, and it's Jacob Hart in second, Samuel England in the 82. Not sure.
Oh, is that legal? Was that legal? That looked illegal to me.
I think England actually had a problem. He is a lap down. He was trying to get back up alongside to the inside of the leader, but he was just too late getting there. Looks like he has an issue. He's really slow. Yeah. May have had a problem under yellow. But yeah, Samuel England's very slow here.
It looks like they switched out the race car engine and put an actual Honda 4-cylinder in.
Oh, come on. But yeah, strategy has really kicked in these final 15 laps. And it's the top 2 Gorga homers that are leading the duel. Jacob Hart and Kyle Collins on the outside looking in. How about Alex Benyako? Richard Johnson's on the outside too. We know he's in, but Benyako, Morris Motorsports, they restarted in the top 5. And how about it? They're up here fighting to make the Daytona 500. Oh, 3 wide. 3 wide for the lead. Shelley's been like all over the place in this duel, but the lead, and he's trying to get there with a big push from Logan Cloud behind him.
They got a really good run going there on the bottom, but you can see the top 1, 2, 3, 4 cars bumper to bumper. Ooh, Peter just ditched Vince Freeze. That's a manufacturer teammate right there. I'm kind of surprised he did that. There is still 15 laps to go here.
That second pack just ran all over them. Brad Stover, Alex Benyako, the caboose of this little first pack, all of a sudden they just got swallowed whole. The Red Bulls, England's all right. He is a lap down, pulled right up behind his teammate. Shrigley, oh man, I don't even know if they took tires. They're still sliding a little bit out there. Monster
just
Energy
look at
Racing
all these
there.
cars. It's just beautiful to watch. Just really the parity that happens at super speedway racing. Yeah, some people will claim it's very randomized, and that's just kind of part of it. But super speedways are a pretty good evenizer, really a good balancer for a lot of teams. This is where small teams can really step up the most. Yes, you do need luck, but you also need a lot of skill and really strategy to also put yourself in that prime position to really determine your fate. In this race, the duels are a really good example, just kind of practicing around the pack, but also just really determining where you will start in this race, whether you make it in or not. Oh no, look out!
Oh! What's going on here?
Benjamin Snyder tried to do his best Kevin LePage impression and pulled up in front of the field.
Bro, where did he come from? I didn't even see him come out of pit road.
What were they cooking? Well, they did have a pretty wicked barbecue, though.
I will say, what were they
really
cooking?
Good one.
What were they
was
cooking?
Griffin Label McDermott
burnt.
there? Was he cooking? I don't know, man. I think GLM showed up.
Hey, ain't no way. Ain't no way.
You know, that held two Red Bulls up, so I mean, they can't fly around him. They don't got enough Red Bull in them, so I mean, yet.
Don't let bro cook. I ain't letting him cook anymore. Snyder in his first Sony Cup Series race, period, of any kind, pulls up in front of the leaders. And James Shelley trying to take the lead. But that screwed over Sean Perkins. Perkins in the 57 was in the lead pack. And that was his best chance to try and race in. Francois Chastain, Doug Lacroix, Lars Van Schaik, Lane Sanders back here. Just a couple drivers that their hopes just dashed immediately. Jeff James.
Yeah,
Look
that
at
was
Brad Stover.
that was a
Just on
big
the edge.
old bruh moment right there, if I do say so myself.
Well,
Just a whole lot of bruhs.
11 laps to go, and if we do not get a yellow, this is going to be who races for the win and also to make the Daytona 500. Look at the Gorga homers. It is Richard Johnson, Jacob Hart, Kyle Collins, Alex Benyako, and Brad Stover. Could be the Cinderella story. That 38 team would be very special if Benyako could get the 89 team in there after being like 3 or 4 seconds off the pole speed.
Man, I'm not gonna lie. I thought that 38 car was the 89 for a second there. I was like, Brad Stover? Where? Oh, right there.
I think push comes to shove, it really showcases qualifying speed really isn't everything. It's just how you also salvage your way through a pack and just stay in it as well. Sometimes you need the luck, but hey, like right now where the 89 and the 38, they're all up close together. They're in a pretty good position, as Noah mentioned earlier, just to make it in.
A few years ago, to make the Daytona 500, all you had to do was finish top 15. You know, rules were different for making the Daytona 500, but with charters, 36 locked-in cars, 6 guys or gals race their way in or qualify their way in. The rules for this speed weeks, top 2 in qualifying get in, and then 2 cars each dual race in. And then, so we'll figure out if Richard Johnson's going to need to fall back on his speed or not. He's looking really fast and capable enough to race his way in. If Richard Johnson races in, that's going to lock in Jacob Hart. But if Hart also races in and doesn't need his speed, this will lock in Luke Martin from Duel 2. So Martin is 4th fastest. We know Richard Johnson and Jake Bassinger are the fastest 2 Gorga homers. Jacob Hart, Luke Martin, Sean Perkins, and Jordan Fisher are the next ones out as far as speed from last Sunday. Vince Freeze, the inside of Richard Johnson. Shelley led last lap, but he's going to drop to 4th at the line.
Yeah, that was a heck of a move by Vince Freeze there going into turn 3. He just had all the momentum on his side and was able to just about clear Richard there coming out of turn 4. And now he will find himself in the middle line as I'm not sure who that white car is putting him to the middle. Oh, that's Jacob Hart. Okay.
Jacob Hart in the Red Bull having to race his way in. I mean, he has the outside chance to fall back on speed, being 3rd fastest, which means if Richard or even if Jake Bassinger race in, which those are very good odds that one of those 2 were to race in, Hart would fall back on speed, but Hart wants to get a better starting position and he wants to ensure that he's going to be in the Great American Race And he's side by side with Kyle Collins. That is the transfer position. Collins has actually been in the top 2 of the Gorga homers pretty much all race. Man, now he's on the outside looking in. He's still fighting for the top 5 positions, but he's got no help right now. Peter Onjak looking up the middle.
Yeah, it looks like the outside line just still so strong. You see the UER cars trying to work together, at least momentarily, before that really just escalated quickly. But they're already a 3-car breakaway here. Top 3 running away, but again, Jacob Hart trying to formulate a little mini pack to try and catch up and sucker up to Freeze and Shelley. But man, that 37 car is on rails right now.
It's going to be very hard to get around Richard Johnson. You know, he was about a tenth or 2 faster than most cars from Sunday, and that when you're that much faster in 1 lap pace all by yourself, you got a bullet out there. And Monster Energy Racing, so far this race with Richard and Bobby Jones, they've both looked very fast and could be favorites to win the Great American Race. Shrigley's back here. Charles Sanford was fast even after he spun. Jeffrey White in the 11, we haven't talked about him a whole lot today. On the outside of the top 10, these guys all got held up by the lap traffic. Anthony Marchese, Doug Lockrow, all these guys, some of these guys go Gorga homers, they need caution. They need a caution flag if they are to race in. They need it fast. We're 5 to go.
How spread out the packs are, I don't see it really happening unless maybe we see like a mechanical gremlin strike. But oh man, they're 3 wide, making at least a show while they're at it. I mean, ooh, Patrick Smith sliding up the track just a little bit there. Don't make contact there, buddy. But looks like they're still racing pretty hard. But I think it might be all for naught though for some of the go home guys, really.
Some of these guys like Bobby Jones and Matt Rodriguez, it's kind of a shame seeing them back here in the second largest pack, because you know they were so much faster than that earlier in the day, but just got held up by Benjamin Snyder. They're 3 wide for second.
Richard Johnson is leading the line right now, and I'm really curious here with 4 laps to go and the tire fall off, if anyone's going to be able to get by him. He is getting pretty far ahead right now though, so setting himself up as a sitting duck here. Vince Freeze might just be able to get a big run. Maybe James Shelley here. They are pretty formed up here in the pack.
I can't really see anybody really challenging Johnson at the moment right now, because that car is just so good in clean air. I don't know. I mean, someone will make a move sooner or later, but the real question is how strong is that 37 really just battling others? But again, we've just seen it time and time again. This whole duel is just, it's just a powerful car. It's like one of those like OP characters you see in like a really modern media. They're just Mary Sue's in a way, but that car just on a whole different level. Great development from MER.
Kyle Collins trying to get right to the back bumper of Jacob Hart. We're going to focus in on the transfer position a little bit. Brad Stover passing Peter Onjak here momentarily. But with Richard out front, the second Gorga home car is between the 84 and the 39. Collins trying to pass Jacob Hart to make the Daytona 500. Doesn't have enough momentum.
Look at Zayden Davidson. He's kind of clung up to the 4th position. He's now pushing James Shelley. Will he follow with him? Well, I mean, everybody would want to go to the inside line, ideally speaking. So, yep, they're going to ditch Vince Freeze, and James Shelley and Zayden Davidson going to try and work together, maybe see if they can have one last lunge at Richard Johnson. But Davidson now goes to the top side here. Interesting move from the Puma machine here, but here comes his fellow Mercedes compatriot, James Fox. They're just trying to rack up into the top 5, and, well, he goes to the inside.
Did you say Puma or Poom? I'm not sure anymore.
Battle between Collins and Hart rages on. Collins is trying to make that pass to make the Daytona 500. Brad Stover reeling them in. We come to the white flag. Richard Johnson leads it over Freeze and Davidson. Nobody really behind them. The front 3. Silver Fox is going to get a run on the front 2. Side by side for the transfer position. Collins and Hart. Brad Stover's there. Ben Yako's there.
Ooh, I thought Stover was going to go 3 wide. I probably would have went for it, honestly. It's the last lap. You might as well go for it, but look around the outside line that Jacob Hart's going to have. This is really fundamental.
Following Shelley by, Jacob Hart retakes the transfer position. Collins was good all day, but it looks like he'll probably miss the 500. Side by side for second. No challenge from Richard Johnson.
Yeah, I think that move by Sade into the inside of Vince Freeze sealed it for Richard.
It's a race for second here. 3 wide at the line, but Freeze is going to get him. It's Richard Johnson, the pole sitter, that's going to take duel 1. With Freeze, Davidson, and looks as though Peter Onjak over James Soarfox to make up the top 5. James Shelley, Jacob Hart. Hart beats Collins, and Jacob Hart races his way in. Kyle Collins, Alex Benyako, and Brad Stover making up the top 10, but for Collins, Benyako, and Stover, their hopes to make the Daytona 500 end here, and they'll be going home. Outside of the top 10, it's Sean Harple. Didn't really talk a whole lot about Harple, but Shrigley, we know he's got a fast car. Some of these guys got held up by Benjamin Snyder. And Charles Sanford rebounded the 13th. Jeffrey White, Hannah Allen, the top 15. Jeff James heading to the house. He finishes 16th. Anthony Marchese, Bobby Jones, Patrick Smith, Lane Sanders. Lane Sanders will be going to the house and missing the Daytona 500. Aiden Shepard had a rough Gatorade duel, finishing in 21st. Matthew Rodriguez dominated early, but unfortunately got held up by a lap car trying to pull up in front of the field. Dylan Young back here too. He had a fast car, spun on the back straightaway. Teammates there, Great Lakes Motorsports, Logan Cloud and Sean Perkins. Perkins will have to wait in duel 2 to see if he makes the Daytona 500 on speed, because he did not race in. Locro's going home. Van Shake's going home. AJ Jones, Francois Chastain, all missing the race. And Samuel England had a problem on pit road and fell a lap down. And Benjamin Snyder, I think we all knew he was going to the house when he rolled off the grid.
Yeah, interesting duel though. Statement victory by Richard Johnson. 37 team again. We've just kind of seen that car just so powerful in this race. It makes you wonder how it's going to do in the 500. If it can repeat that, well, man, I think it's going to be a no-brainer that he's going to be the favorite coming in.
Richard's never won the Daytona 500, and Monster Energy Racing has been bad fast with all of their cars. And, well, it could be Richard's best chance to finally win it. He's been trying for, I think, 26 times. I think it's been 26 attempts. That is a mind-boggling number, really. But for many of these drivers, they're looking for their first 500. And some drivers, like we talked about with Matthew Rodriguez earlier, he was up there fighting with the MER cars. He's looking for a second 500. And Jacob Hart beating Kyle Collins means Hart races in, and he'll compete for his third Daytona 500. We'll pause for station identification, and we'll get you to duel 2. Well, I guess we won't be. Guess we're still live.
Real.
We're still live.
Who are? 130R. No, just kidding. Says you corner.
It wouldn't let me pause like I was doing.
This is your ASMR stationary identification. We are having technical difficulties here. Please stay
what
tuned
were you
for
hiding
duel
from
number
us?
2.
No. 2R? What's the 2 there for? What's the other 2? You gotta tell. We must know.
When your NVIDIA says you're not streaming, but you are.
Yeah, imagine.
Yeah, it's like, what are you doing, bro? Like, I am streaming. What do you mean, start? All right, hold on one moment.
Roger's about to ASMR a book. His book.
No.
Chapter 1.
Oh, the fan fictions.
All right, well.
What you call my book, boy?
We gotta keep it real.
You call it a fan fiction? Go buy Death Craver on Amazon and listen to D-Schwal.
let's see. We going? All right. Gatorade duel number 2. We can't be professional. We gotta do it raw.
Yeah, we got.
Did you say raw?
Raw.
Damn.
Uncut.
At least get the lubrication first. For the engines, you know? The engines. The engines.
Cody Lamas, we know he is going to be on the front row. Everyone will be competing to start behind Richard Johnson and Cody Lamas. Could Lamas do what Richard Johnson did? I'm just sitting here reading the comments. Can Richard Johnson and Cody Lamas, they're starting on the front row, can they sweep the duels?
I don't know about Cody, but I mean, I don't think the Chevys are as fast as people have them out to be. I know Cody's was like kind of the outlier, but like Lamas has usually been kind of like a staple, really one of the best Chevy drivers, at least in the SCS grid. I mean, there's going to be more talent in the future. That's just bound to happen. There's still talent now, but it just seems like, you know, Cody Lamas just pulls the most out of that Chevy camp, really.
Dejon, I was going to put you in the booth. No, I wasn't. I was actually going to let just the admins do it.
We don't need Dejon in the booth. All he's gonna say is "bruh" every 2 seconds.
Watch the
Bruh,
Toyotas!
that's kind of cap.
Watch the
Bruh, Ryan.
Toyotas!
Bruh. Bro, why is MER so good? What are we cooking?
I don't care.
He knows MER is going to be
We
good.
can-
You
we
know how
can-
it
we can
works.
bring him in
It's the
here.
process.
If one of y'all wanted to drag
Bring him in here.
If y'all want to drag him in here,
Get in
He's the
VC,
in-race
Dejon. We'll
reporter.
drag you in here. Get in here. Yeah. There he is. Yeah. Oop. Yeah.
Feel so hurt. What's gonna be here? But
Now I can just listen to Dejon instead of not seeing his live stream comments because
What a
YouTube
guy.
be weird.
it's going to be Lamas and Curtis on the front row. Jake Bassinger, expect him to be really good. The defending winner of the Daytona 500, Dom Caps, the outside. Then Dylan
Did you say there's a
Schwarber.
llama on the front row?
There is indeed a llama on the front row. It's going to be some interesting storylines to follow for Gatorade Duel 2 because this is a packed Duel 2 of driver lineups. Lamas, Curtis, Bassinger, Schwallenberg, Caps to Max, Turner, Weeks, Martin. I mean, I can keep
Wait.
going on.
Wait, you said that's Eric to Max? I thought that was just Jacob Hart in another car.
It
'cause,
looks
you know,
very similar, actually.
Yeah.
same team, right?
But we have some promising rookies as well. Some very experienced veterans in the field, but Dane Stinson in here, Bobo Jones, Shade Eves, Cole Baker, Will Goss, Cal Farrell, Edward Ziemba, Kev Shear, Nelson Reeves, a lot of promising youngsters in the FBRL.
Hey, if you want to hear about Dane Stinson, you just gotta ask Dejon Weeks. What's up with Dane Stinson?
Hey, Dane, I
He's
mean,
been cooking this year, man.
we already know what
He's
he's cooking.
this year.
We know what he's
I-
cooking.
I can
He's
see
cooking
it.
the
I can see the
Baconator from
vision.
Wendy's. He's cooking that Baconator from Wendy's, dog.
Cooking up that
If he gets that Smithfield sponsorship, it's Jover, man.
JSR going for the lead, 3 wide.
I mean, Dodge has just been hauling, you know.
Man,
With
these
Monster
Dodges,
Energy.
yeah, they're just
And even
trimmed
JSR, the
out,
partnership,
dude.
really
They're
could stem
trimmed.
well.
The Dodge has
So
been really
you have
fast in
you have a
next
car
gen.
with no scheme in the back. That's all I gotta say. I'll go to pit row reporting
true.
now, but
And who's
I'll
driving?
stay on the pit row. But you got a car, no scheme in the back. No, go forward a couple cars. He's sitting right there with no scheme in the car.
I think even if you gave the car
This is great.
DRS, it wouldn't
Hey,
catch
you
the
know
Right there.
that driver of the 16 car, Ace Wild, he is driving for Monster Energy Racing in the Napa Truck Series.
Losing the draft. Carson Clevenger trying to hang
Oh,
on to
hey,
the
yo,
back.
yo,
Oh
I
my
see
God,
it.
I do see it.
I told you.
I see it. Who
And,
is
What's
and,
that?
and it's a Toyota.
Oh no!
I
Oh,
know
I guess.
who it
Oh,
is.
Hey, man, hey, watch
it's
that
their-
Toyota,
it's their
man.
new development.
They ain't got a scheme on it, but they gonna
Watch
be
them
there.
Toyotas. I know what happened here.
It's a
I
steam development.
told Lane
It's
I
their
told
tactic.
Lane I needed the freaking right 22 car because he sent it with the wrong. The name was wrong on the
Oh, we
banner.
can. So what you could say is that really Fisher Motorsports is trying to really cook up like a concept right
Dude,
now.
Fisher
So
Motorsports,
it's kind of
they
like
just
it's just
keep
trying to
going
reduce
downhill.
weight. So
They can't afford paint schemes no more, man. They can't afford paint schemes no more.
We'll ignore it.
well,
You
it's a
did send it
tactical
to me.
advantage
You
though.
did
In
send it
fairness
to me,
though,
but it was
it is
after
a
the
tactical
duel, and
advantage.
I-
So
and I had deleted it. So okay, we'll we'll ignore it.
I will say
We'll
this though.
ignore
It could serve as like a tactical advantage though. You know, with like you know, an F1 right,
Weight savings.
Mercedes.
Yo, yeah, they're saving like 20 pounds by not having the wrap.
Yeah,
on
no,
the
it's
car.
like a weight, like legit. It's like a good weight.
And they're still
weight
losing the
tactic, so-
draft.
Ace Wild, Carson Clevenger. Well, Joshua Michaels and Toby Christie are staying in the pack. Allison Liera.
Well, at least we know it's only one scheme and there's not two. Because
Yeah.
if there were two blank cars, man, we'd be bringing up the overlay every time.
They'll fix it eventually though. It'll be fixed though in due time. So I mean, I wouldn't really.
Nah,
Worry about
Allison
it,
Liera
serious
was
note,
just
so.
going so fast that the paint just came off that Joker. It's Dejon Weeks continuing to lead the way. Ryan Acosta has emerged up here with Luke Martin for Flipside. Bobo Jones on the inside coming to the front. Shade Eves, look at the inside line from Bobo. Shade Eves, Cal Farrell, Edward Ziemba, Blaze McKinney, Diego Yepes. I mean, everyone's hopping to the inside line, but all the momentum's probably going to be right up top.
Oh, look at the repeating storyline here. Monster Energy leading the duel here, and look at that commanding grip. And that's not with sarcasm either. It's just like they're actually like legit just holding a grasp over the whole field right now. It is scary how good they are. They're cooking, like Dejan said.
Yeah, those MER cars, man, they're just pulling 3 car lengths and then you just can't close up on them. It's kind of sus, not gonna lie.
What I saw in Duel 1 at least was the Toyotas with Rodriguez at least looked like they were able to challenge and have the same advantage of pulling the field around. So no, Matthew Rodriguez in Duel 1 had the speed but just got held up. And well, Dylan Schwellenberg won his Sony shootout, and he's also in this duel, but he's up top. But that Monster Energy Racing, all 3 of their cars look very fast and could be one of the favorites on Sunday. Luke Martin's got a big run here. Just no help really with it to keep going.
Those Mitsubishis, no, they have looked pretty spiffy too. You got the 6 up here. We saw the 4 and the 25 in Duel 1. They are holding their own here at the front of the field.
Dom Caps, Car 6, one of the best looking schemes. Oh, let's not do the same thing that we did in Duel 1.
No, they backed it down to 3 wide, so that's a lot better than the first duel. So they learned something from it.
Curtis in the 19 got a big run on Martin, gonna take it to the inside. Fisher gonna clear Bobo Jones. How about Cole Baker in the 99? Didn't even see him. He emerged through the middle, down to the inside behind Jones.
Good stuff for Cole Baker. They're climbing through the field, you know. Did not have the best tenure at CVM, so he's looking to really recuperate himself, put himself in a better shape for this year. And so far, that's really good. Just move your way up slowly but surely.
Maybe we can take some of the electronics out of that 99 iRacing Mercedes to fix DJ's microphone.
Yeah, if you had my Blue Yeti, yeah. I don't, though.
Everybody's still kind of all together. Nobody's really lost the draft. Michaels, Christie, still hanging on. But we do have 2 cars that are losing the pack, just like in Duel 1. Carson Clevenger likely going to miss the race. It would be a miracle if Ace Wild somehow made the race. But like you said, Weeks is just controlling this race. Just nobody's really able to get a run around him. Jordan Fisher in the 55 and Luke Martin are the lead go-homers. And Martin and Fisher, second and third. Going to have to do something amazing if you want to get up there in the top 2 for this dual qualifying race. Everybody kind of getting spread out a little bit, just 2 by 2. Really spread out, actually.
Dejan, what you got on pit road?
Absolutely no action going on down here. We're not sure what the strategy's cooking up for any of the teams yet,
Nothing.
but we'll see soon. About 10, 15 laps, we'll see.
Thanks, Dejan.
Might have to hope for a caution. Maybe you'll get some activity, or maybe we could get some green bike pit stops though too. While we're at it.
Cybertron Motorsports and Flipside Motorsports have really. Hold on. 4 wide. Let's see if they settle it back out again. They do. That was almost bad.
Oh, cook up to Max. What a move.
But
No bias.
Cybertron Motorsports and Flipside Motorsports, that technical alliance is enhanced a little bit for this next-gen race car. And Luke Martin is driving basically a third Flipside car for the Daytona 500. He's looking to try and take the lead of the duel. Fisher throws a block on Bobo Jones. Still across the line, it's Dejan Weeks. Fisher takes a peek at the inside, gonna make it 3 wide.
Man,
Nobody
in
in the
that third Martin Motorsports car, Noah, to see it at the front of the field, that's very impressive for from the Mitsubishi camp, but you just can't say the same about the 46 and Nelson Reeves. I think I see him there in that orange Mitsubishi at the back of the field.
Yeah, Nelson
just
is
hasn't.
Really, yeah, he is back here
Just hasn't.
struggling. You see Charlie Smith, Toby Christie, Joshua Michaels, all struggling to get up there inside that pack and get racy. Oh man, 4 wide for the lead.
Ooh, that's brave.
Bobo
Ooh, who is
Jones.
that?
That's Bobo Jones and Jordan
Oh my
Fisher.
gosh.
Ooh, buddy. Oh,
Hacked it down
to
though. That's
3.
good.
I think Dom Caps thought about going 4 wide there for a second, but I think he saw what almost happened and he was like, no, no, no.
I'm very impressed though with Luke Martin and Jordan Fisher. The top 2 Gorga homers have been leagues ahead of everybody. The stakes for racing your way in, Jordan Fisher in the 55, he knows he can fall back on his time trial speed if Luke Martin and Jake Bassinger are the 2 that race their way in. It would be Sean Perkins and Jordan Fisher that make the 500 on their time trial speeds. But if anybody else gets up there in that top 2 other than them, Fisher has to also be racing in. Sean Perkins needs just Luke Martin or Jake Bassinger, just one of them, Martin or Bassinger, to race in for Sean Perkins to make the Daytona 500. Luke Martin, because of Jacob Hart's run in Duel 1, Martin is already locked into the Great American Race. He's not really worried about it. He's just trying to get another victory and put Flipside in victory lane in the dual qualifier. Caps has a run to the inside with a big push from Jesse Turner.
Yeah, and Turner's really looking to just bounce back after a really rocky 2022 season, really. A lot of wins that could have happened, but just couldn't come to fruition. Well, he's making a 3 wide right now. They're going 4 wide back there. That's not what you want to do at Daytona, but backed it down again. So, again, they're taking notes in the first duel, applying it to the second duel. Again, these drivers are learning, and that's a good thing.
Yeah, Shade Eves was just able to file in line there off the corner. It could have been real hairy.
Man, nobody's got around that 30. Dejan Weeks has been leading the field and has not been passed, really. They've got alongside the 30, but nobody's been really able to overtake and put Weeks back in the pack. And Lamas to the inside again. Whoa, Bobo Jones! Almost in the door of the 93.
Lucky the Max checked up, though. They would have turned him.
Looked like that was Dane Stinson on the bottom there that almost would have
I was
hooked the 44.
confused with those number styles and everything, but Dane, yeah. No, that's good awareness, though.
Turner had a big run on Fisher. He's going to take it. Luke Martin has the run up to the inside of the 6. Some names have stayed up here. Obviously, Dejan Weeks, but Jordan Fisher, he still has to finish the race in the top 2 of the Gorga Homers to make sure he'll be in the race, because we saw Kyle Collins. He was inside the top 5 for most of his dual qualifier, and Collins missed the race. So he's got to finish the job. Luke Martin in car 54 has been up here pretty much all duel. Dom Caps Cody Lamas and DJ Curtis has as well. Haven't talked about Ryan Acosta a whole lot, but he's been up top. He's on the top of the racetrack. He's been staying inside the top 10. It's not really been a contender for the lead, but it's been very fast, pushing Eric DeMax. And Martin not really getting a whole lot of help from Cody Lamas.
It doesn't really look like anybody wants to help the good man out. Luke Martin, one of the really most notorious drivers in the FBRL for a reason, though. Still showing that he's got what it takes, and, well, no doubt, dude's been a champion for, like, feels like forever, but Martin, one of the greats for a reason, so moving on up, still kind of maintaining his track position within the top 10, really good hire by Flipside there. Better experience, one of the legends of the sport, to be exact. Well,
and Luke Martin, we're gonna see Luke Martin in the Napa Truck Series race this weekend too. He is starting in 4th place for that race.
Big believer in trucks for Luke Martin, that is. Always loved it down there. Probably won that championship that one year, you know.
Luke Martin was so dominant that year. Martin was dominant that year. In fact, everybody kind of was. Kev Shear dominated H&S as much as he really could. Almost clinched it heading into the finale of 2021.
Very consistent driver.
And Turner, you know, we know he clinched it in 2021, won 10 races in 2021. That was a season full of dominations.
It was domination station, but 2022 was some of the same, but a lot of differences. What will 2023 bring? I'm looking forward to finding out.
Got a challenge for the lead, though. Jesse Turner now putting the challenge up against Dejan Weeks. Weeks has been unopposed so far, but Jesse Turner is willing to put his number on the plate here, and he's got help on the bottom there, but the 6 went to the top side, decides to help Dejan out.
If you're going to get around the 30, you need to go with the Aflac Ford. I mean,
which still got a good run off of turn 2 here, but let's see what Dejan gets off the exit there. This is really where the outside line kicks in the most.
Yeah, Dejan Weeks with the help from Dom Caps. Going to go right back into the lead. We'll be closing in on halfway here very soon. Eric DeMax fighting his way back in the top 5. He had a run down the back straightaway, took it to the inside. He's looking to go even lower to the inside of Jesse Turner. Turner's been very close. Oh, yeah, a lap car.
Got a lap car. It's Ace Wild in the 16. Hopefully he is not as in the way as his teammate Benjamin Snyder was in Duel 1.
Well, I think no matter what happens, someone's going to get held up one way or another, and it's not going to make them very happy.
And usually the first car to be held up gets very held up because they get bunched up right behind the lapper's back bumper, and then everyone behind them is ducking out of line first, and you just get stuck until you're all the way at the back of the field.
Just depends on when they approach him, and they're approaching him in the middle of the corner, and this is really not ideal, I think, for the whole field here. But the 16 car slides off of turn 4. Dejan will be able to scoot on by, and there he goes. Car down pit road, car blowing up.
Cal Farrell blowing up.
Yeah, guys, he said he dropped a cylinder down the backstretch last lap before. Instead of let go this time by.
And Cal Farrell, he ran part-time for Great Lakes Motorsports last season. Loaned from Red Bull Racing to go full-time racing for North Border. And, well, their Daytona 500 Speed Weeks not starting off that well. Going to have to get a brand new engine when they go racing in the Daytona 500. Starting at the back. They are locked in, their charter team. And again, double file at the front.
We're seeing that 16 car is not as slow in the draft here, but still holding up that top and middle line. That's going to let the bottom just scoot right on by.
That's exactly what some of these guys really want. Dylan Schwellenberg's kind of been mired back mid-pack, has not been able to make a rally to the front, whether that's by design or just can't quite get there. Mitchell Collins and Will Goss has been in the back too. Edward Ziemba. Ziemba, we have to remind you, is a chartered car because this 70 crew has had to qualify into races as long as I can remember them entering the Sony Cup Series. But they are locked in, pushing Will Goss. But Caps, DeMax, you see Cole Baker up top, all kind of getting held up a little bit by Ace Wild. Jesse Turner, I think he might clear him. Finally, and somebody clearing the 30 for the lead.
Let's see whether that's going to be long-lived or not, or short-lived here, because Dejan's car is so strong. I mean, we saw Richard Johnson lose the lead at some point, and Luke Martin washing up the track quite a lot there in that entry, but now Turner's got a good, comfortable lead, though. Cody Lamas now sits in the second spot. Dejan, though, in a 3-wide situation. Well, nothing new here at Daytona, but really now it's up to that 30 car to see if they can get back up to the front again to make it a Monster Energy, well, front row, really, before the 30 car. Not exactly like first or second, but more or less just up there.
I think they might be pitting here. Cars going up top. Yep, here comes Martin. Martin in the 54 down pit road. He can impact the race of who makes the Daytona 500, but he is not really focused on if he is in the top 2 for Go or Go Homers. Shade Eves down pit road 2. That is Martin's car. The other Martin car up here, Jordan Fisher's been so good. That kind of split up the pack a little bit.
Yeah, I think it really caused the inside line to check up, though, and that created a second pack. Now DJ Curtis leading said pack, but I think expecting the pit maybe shortly just after Luke Martin and Eves, more or less. So, but now Cody Lamas has possession of the lead, but Jesse Turner says, well, buddy, I want to go to the inside of you. So they come off a turn forward, though, but Turner now coming down pit road. A lot more takers this time around, but a couple of others staying out of the track.
Yeah,
these guys, they should be able to make it here. Sorry, no, they should be able to make it here. I believe it is lap 25 coming to 26.
Looking at Brandon Bill, Toby Christie of Go or Go Homers that are in that second takers on pit road. Dejan Weeks is kind of like all by himself a little bit, kind of got held up a little bit. It's Lamas and Schwallenberg that leads the race. Getting on and off pit road is going to be very important because we may go green the whole way, may not have a yellow flag. It's going to be very important. Oh, Cody Lamas, that was a very bad call, I believe. Now, granted, Cody Lamas, I think, did a move in the Daytona 500 for 2021. The 500 he won, and he just stayed out with all by himself, and he actually got the lead out of that. I think it depends on the traffic more or less, but really, Lamas and the crew, they usually always kind of gamble, go a little bit longer than most other teams, so they're usually a team that tries to overcut at the end and just focus on like youth of the tires. But yeah, it looks like, speaking of tires, all of them going for some fresh Goodyear rubber. Looks like all 4 actually, so very surprising call. I thought some would take 2 or so, or maybe none, but interesting to see.
Dejan, what you got on that 48 strategy?
They said they want to stay out and try to avoid the chaos in the first lap. So they're coming in this time. They may lose a little bit of time, but they shouldn't lose the pack.
Getting on and off pit road with no damage is very important. Car 48 choosing to go all by himself.
Also, they do have to consider that they are already locked in the front row, so I mean, more or less, they can take that risk if they want to, and that looks like that's what they're going to do. So, experimentation on the Curtis Racing side in terms of strategy there, so it'll be fun to see where Cody Lamas pans out, but it looks like Stinson up there right in front of Dylan Schwallenberg, though, so it's going to be fun to see how the field cycles out the end of this one.
Dane Stinson in the 96 and Dylan Schwallenberg. How about Kev Shear? Kev Shear.
Good stuff for him.
Cody Lamas leaving pit road.
Wow.
Wow. That really paid off really good for Cody Lamas.
Well, I think that might be something to keep note of for the 500 if that overcut strategy is the way to go. And well, it looks like Cody's got a pretty big lead. They're obviously going to catch up to him because they're up to speed, but that might be a very, very good call. And I think some teams might gamble on that and might go for it more often here than not. So Lamas, though, with the lead. Schwallenberg, though, Stinson going to try and work together, but not really making a coherent pack at the moment. But, yep, there they go. There you go. Go single file, you 3. And see if they can catch that 48, which, again, they should.
And who is that there in 4th place? Are they actually in 4th place, or is that a lap down
that's a lap car.
Yeah, Carson Clevenger is a lap down. Ace Wild also a lap down. Looks like Joshua Michaels is going to be going a lap down here in a second. Nope, actually not. But it is Lamas, Schwallenberg, Stinson, and then all the way back in fourth, it's Dejon Weeks leading this pack of Dom Caps, TJ Curtis, Kev Shear in a good position to try and race his way into the Daytona 500, Jesse Turner, Will Goss, and then Ryan Acosta. That's the top 10, outside the top 10 in this pack. Jordan Fisher, Mitchell Collins, Eric DeMax, Jake Bassinger, Toby Christie. It's Toby Christie. Toby Christie in the 68 for Nova Sport is in this lead pack. Talked about that with Brad Stover in Duel 1 and Alex Bignacco. Very surprising. Brandon Beal for Spartan. You know how Dylan Young was very fast in Duel 1. And that's his teammate, Brandon Beal. These are open cars. I mean, Shade Eves is there too. 17 cars in the lead pack. However, Diego Yepes, Blaze McKinney, Luke Martin, Allison Liera, Bobo Jones, Charlie Smith, Edward Ziemba, all trying to draft up to this big pack, but I don't know if it's going to work.
Martin looked to be the biggest loser out of this one because he was one of the first drivers to come down pit road, and look where he is now. Just not even close to the main pack. A couple drivers actually lost out to that, but more or less, though, I just felt like he's kind of the big standout in this one. Him and the 44, and I saw the 70 was up in the main pack at one point, and they also lost out too. So really comes to show maybe the undercut just not the way to go.
I'll tell you what, that weight reduction there for the schemeless 22 seems to be paying off, because Allison is just pretty much making move after move to the inside. The runs are limitless here without a scheme on that car, just like the static is limitless on DJ's mic.
You know it.
But we do a little trolling, and we got 19 to go this time by, I think. Yes, 19 to go.
You see, they're making a bigger pack right in front of this one that we were panning on, but they need to start working together if they really want to catch the top four, really those four cars in front. Again, there's also the lap car I got to consider, but more or less, though, the top three just kind of, not really top three. Yeah, it is top three. I had a little stroke there, but Schwallenberg leading over Cody Lamas. Lamas, though, wants to make a move to the inside, and that's really just going to help that second pack. And honestly, if I was that second pack, I'd want Dejon Weeks leading that pack, because he's just so strong as a lead car, but they're not really wanting that to happen, because now DJ Curtis makes a move to the inside of the 30 car, and well, they're not really working together. Now let's see the difference in intervals here as they cross the line.
Yeah, if that 30 car is leading this pack when they potentially eventually catch the top four here, he is probably going to get the biggest run we've seen today.
Oh, I think they're going to catch them in a heartbeat, though. They gained 2 tenths there, and they were still battling it out, so I think it comes to show how strong the numbers is, quantity over just the quantity of cars all clumped up together. I mean, even if they're not battling it, even if they're not working together, they just still seem to catch. And I think it really helps with the lap car battling Dane Stinson here, so that's actually going to make the 96 an outlier between the top two, because now with them battling, it allows the other guys, well, to sucker right up.
I would be running single file right now to try and keep that pack behind, but they are closing. They'll be there in any moment, probably next 2 laps. Curtis and Weeks have been leading the second pack. Jake Bassinger in the 97. The lead Go Homer, Dylan Schwallenberg, Cody Lamas, they continue to trade the lead. Dane Stinson had to fend off a challenge from the lap car. Yep, look at this run down the back straightaway.
Oh, yeah, they're definitely going to catch him.
How about Ryan Acosta, the inside? Like I mentioned, this is the old CM Racing team. It's just Shea Bignacco Racing. And we know the pedigree that is CM Racing over the years. Now CM Racing gone, and Shea Bignacco taking over that organization. Gotta wonder how that team is going to carry on with new leadership, and if they'll actually be very competitive like they have over the years. Costa pushes Curtis out front, and Curtis has a whale of a run. But what is he going to do with it when he gets on the back straightaway?
Yep, it's definitely less than a second now. I'll tell you what, they're all catching him in a heartbeat. And, well, Curtis needs to get to the inside if he wants to get rid of the lap car, and, well, he does just that. And Now coming up towards Mace, or not Mace. See, this is what happens when you're old. But coming up towards Cody Lamas, and
Nick
Still
Mace.
doing a pretty good job. So,
I'm
ooh,
telling
Acosta
you,
tried to make it 3 wide there for a moment, but Lamas now trying to block, but decides to go to the outside. Curtis will get help from Ryan Acosta, Dejan Weeks, Jake Baskinger. Man, a lot of big names coming up towards Dylan Schwallenberg's lead here, trying to shrink it down.
we haven't talked a whole lot about Dylan Schwellenberg. Pit stops really helped him and Cody Lamas both. And they got out in front. And here comes the 30. Dejan Weeks trying to take it back, trying to get up the lead again. But Ryan Acosta with a good run to stay ahead of the 30. He's going to take that and try and push the 19.
I am back, just saying, by the way. I had a phone call.
Yeah, you good. Just how it is. And Schwallenberg, had a very strong car in the shootout. Ended up being a big factor, big winner out of this one, to be honest. But holding its ground could be like Dejan Weeks with how that car just runs well up at the front. Once it's in the lead, it's kind of hard to pass. And DJ Curtis still holding his ground in second, trying to hold off the rest of the field to see if he can have a shot at passing that 10 car. And, well, Lamas holding strong on the top side there. He's got some good help. Turner trying to make a third lane down the bottom line, but looks like that really dissipated quite quickly. But top 3 now single file, make it top 4 single file for a brief moment.
Oh, here comes DJ Curtis. He has a run. He's going to take it to the inside. Now, Dylan Schwellenberg. Oh, what?
Oh, what was that? I thought I saw a hamburger wrapper fly out of the 10's window net. He's trying to slow down the 19.
Yeah, but Cody Lamas going to make it a show, got to make it 3 wide for the lead, trying to show what he's got in that Chevy to see if they can lead the pack of cars. And, well, he's got some good grip down at the bottom. They did take tires for a reason, so Lamas has the run. Look at Dane Stinson, really bold move, able to really bring it down to the bottom side. Good handling race car. Now he's going to go for the race lead. Dejan Weeks willing to help him out, so the youngster putting a lot of impressions early on here.
That's
really good to see.
Very impressive that the rookie, Dane Stinson, I mean, he had some really good standout runs in select races last season, but to be running in the top 5 in the Gatorade duels here at Daytona, showing out right now. Running up against Cody Lamas, Dylan Schwellenberg, Dejan Weeks, Tom Caps, Ryan Acosta, and DJ Curtis. All of these guys, multi-time winners of the Sony Cup Series. That just goes to show you how good of a driver Dane Stinson really is, and so young. The transfer battle, I want to highlight that a little bit as we come to close to 10 laps to go. It is Jake Bassinger, it's the lead go-homer. Jordan Fisher is still second, but Brandon Beal, Kev Shear, and Toby Christie are the ones on the outside looking in, and they are nose to tail for the transfer position. Beal to the outside of Fisher. And the transfer position battle, it's right here at the tail end of the field.
Fisher put the block on that to see if he can try and block the momentum, and allows Kev to go to the inside. Tried to block the 94, but just couldn't do it, and now Kev being advantageous here to the bottom.
We got a lapper.
Joshua
Beal
Michaels.
actually. Oh, that's going to be fun. Now it's going to see leaders, what will you do? Will you go bottom or top? And also depends on what the lap car wants to do, more or less. So Curtis leads, Acosta goes to the inside, and that actually might be a brilliant move from Acosta's part. So let's say that lap car goes to the top side and it bottles up that upper groove. That's going to allow a lot of separation, really. I'd want to be on the inside right now, but again, this is all going to depend on when they encounter that 75.
Nah, that outside line is smooth like a stripper pole. They're going to keep running it.
Whoa,
He said what?
Relax.
I think, okay, so it looks like the 75, they're coming off of turn 2 just about now. They will approach him on the backstretch, so it looks like, yeah, I think it really depends if they catch him in turn 3. If the 75 goes to the bottom, I think they will go down there, so it just depends on what the leader wants to do first.
Oh, wow, look at this run. Curtis and Schwellenberg trying to get the inside. They did check up a little bit for Michaels.
Now watch how much it bottles the outside line here, because now everybody's going to want to really flounder down in the bottom lane, and really the 75 held up the middle lane momentarily as well, and coming up towards the closing stages of this race, and now the outside line bottled up. It's Bassinger stuck up on the top side there, so looks like Goss is stuck up there, and so is the Max, so they need to get out of there ASAP, and Goss bails on the top side immediately.
That opens the door for Kev Shear to sneak by into the top 2 to race in for the Daytona 500. It is Shear and Jordan Fisher that are now the top 2 Gorga homers. This means that, I think this also means Sean Perkins right now. Perkins would miss the Daytona 500. Perkins is a big Jake Bassinger fan right now, because Bassinger would get Sean Perkins in the Great American Race if Jake Bassinger has to fall back on his speed.
Ooh, look at the move down the bottom with the 15. That was a really clever move to make use of your momentum. And look at Ryan Acosta trying to split the middle, making it 3 wide on Turner and Stinson. That is some gutsy driving, and that's what we love to see in the FBRL. We love to see drivers get aggressive and really have a good racing product at the end of the day. I think it's really what a lot of us want to see.
Saw a little bit of a checkup there by the 30, middle of turns 1 and 2, but he's got the run due to that great wind tunnel work they've done at that team, and that checkup didn't mean nothing. He's right back there on the bumper of the 6.
Speed Hunter Dodge, he has all the speed to win the Daytona 500 and put himself in position. All of MER, got to be the favorite heading into Speed Weeks, but got to keep that car intact. Everybody's racing with their heads in this Gatorade Duel number 2. A lot of cars had some incidents in Duel 1. They learned their lesson. At least these drivers watched Duel 1, and they learned that you can't really go 4 wide. And so, very tame action here in Duel 2, but they're still taking runs where they can put them without putting their cars in jeopardy. It's Dylan Schwallenberg that leads it when we come back to 6 to go. Telling you, we have some really top drivers up here racing for the lead. Schwallenberg, Curtis, Lamas, Caps, and Weeks there with Acosta. And here comes Jesse Tunner trying to push his way back forward following the 30. And for the transfer position, it is still Shear chasing Jordan Fisher with Jake Bassinger to the top of both of them.
That's kind of what Bassinger needs, that outside line to really just get a good run off of turn 2 and just watch how fast that outside line is going to be. Dom Caps leading that outside group. Cody Lamas now making a move for the runner-up spot. Dejan Weeks makes his move down the bottom. Here he comes, and look out for that 30 car for a reason. Fast as nails. Really just a fuming fast race car, more or less. So Weeks going to be on the charge. He's making his move now. And Dylan Schwalmenberg, though, still commanding the lead here. Really, it just comes to show how strong a lot of these cars are at the front of the pack and how they've maintained that track position.
Dejan's going for it, man. He's making it 3 wide for second, trying to hunt down the 10 of Dylan Schwallenberg. But you can really see the tire wear is kicked in at the end of this run. Stalled out on the bottom. Cody's going to be able to drop down in front of him. And now we'll see if the 48 can get a run on the 10.
They got about a car length or 2 behind the 10, but with Curtis going to the inside, that's probably going to slow Lamas' momentum. Caps has a run, but he's not taking it to the inside. Stinson stays in behind Dom Caps. Oh, not anymore. Actually, I thought he was going to go to the inside, but he tucks right back in. Stinson being very, not as aggressive as everybody else. Not taking the runs. Doesn't want to do anything wrong. Lamas to the inside of Dylan Schwallenberg for the lead.
Looks like that 48 car can handle the bottom pretty decently, though. Pretty well. Like, we saw a lot earlier, the preceding lap that the inside line kind of stalled out, but Lamas didn't check up as much that time around, but look at the push that Dom Caps is putting on that number 10. Really good assistance there. That actually might propel him up to second if he can clear the 48.
Look at that. That was a
yes, he will.
Run. That was a great run by Dom Caps. Locked on the back bumper of Dylan Schwallenberg. Put them both 1 and 2. With 3 laps to go.
I'm curious if anybody will be able to do anything to get by the 10, because we saw in Duel 1, Richard Johnson had a decent lead and no one was able to do a thing. It looks like Lamas and DJ are paired up. They're going to make a move on Caps and try to haul down that 10 car.
In terms of the transfer, though, Bassinger looks really good. Obviously, he's been just skyrocketing his way through the field, and Jordan Fisher holding his ground. Beals, though, is on the outside, just a car behind him on the outside line, that is. Kev Shears, oh man, they're just hoping for something. They gotta pull something out of the hat. They gotta pull some magic if they want to make it into this big show in the 500.
The further back you are in this pack, the less momentum you really can get from a car behind. Curtis 3 wide. This pack is really getting spread out.
DJ got left there. I don't know if Dejan put a move on him and it sent him all the way to the top, but he is going backwards.
Well, I think that's what Dejan needs. He's leading the outside line now. Granted, not much help up there, but again, that car is so strong by itself. He doesn't really need much help to begin with. But Lamas again making a move to the inside. I think Caps might just try and stay put. Maybe try and put the block. Just couldn't get to the bottom, though. But now Dejan to the inside. Weeks going at it. Trying to push Cody Lamas, but they only have one more lap to go here. As Dylan Schwalmberg has just maintained the lead. Once he's had it, there's been no turning back for that 10 car.
Schwallenberg won the Sony shootout. He's trying to get another checkered flag. It is Jake Bassinger, first of the transfer cars. Jordan Fisher, second. He needs to race his way in. Brandon Beal, Kev Shear, Toby Christie, they're going to run out of time, I believe. Jordan Fisher's in a great spot. Dylan Schwallenberg has got the run, and here comes Capsy inside. With them racing side by side behind, I think that's going to allow Dylan Schwallenberg to get away.
Yeah, that just sealed it right there. They're in the turn 3. You can see the 48 and the 6 inching towards the 10, but neither are directly behind Schwallenberg, so give a GG's to Dylan as Cole Baker is down pit road, but the transfer spot is what we are concerned about, and Jordan Fisher has it along with Jake Baskinger.
Second checkered flag for Dylan Schwallenberg, and it's back-to-back victories. Never has a driver won the Sony shootout, their dual qualifier, and the 500 all in Speed Weeks. Schwallenberg will be the first to win both a Sony shootout and a dual qualifying race. And he'll be the one attempting to go for the three-peat in Daytona 500 Speed Weeks.
It would be an excellent story. I tell you what, the scriptwriters would probably love to see Schwallenberg win the 500. I tell you what. It'd be very fun to see with so many strong cars, in each individual duel. I mean, some are going to come out top. Monster Energy Racing, they've just put a great statement. I mean, with Dejan leading the first half, basically, and now Schwallenberg leading the second half. That 10 car, they haven't really missed a beat so far. Really, Monster Energy Racing, again, they just look to be the ones to watch. Cody Lamas played a very bold strategy. Curtis Racing, they really very creative with their calls, and they ended up getting second out of it. They're not the strongest team, but they definitely could be one of the, could be very interesting. It's a very spicy team. A lot of other teams, Performance Racing, you can never sleep on any team in the FBRL. Yeah, some may be backmarkers, but you never know. They could be a benefactor or maybe a disadvantage to you, more or less. They could really be your biggest foe or maybe not your biggest threat. Just depends on how the cookie crumbles, more or less.
Said earlier in the race, watch them Toyotas.
Indeed,
Toyota
you weren't wrong. They were cooking.
Hey.
They were good in the shootout. They're good in the duel.
I wish I was here during the green flag stops, though. I had a very untimely phone call with a family member.
Them Toyotas come out of nowhere at the end. We were talking about it earlier, though. Monster Energy Racing looked very fast with Bobby Jones and Richard Johnson in Duel 1. Matt Rodriguez was the only one I thought in Duel 1 that I was any better than them. And then we saw here.
He got stuck.
He fell all the way back. But here in Duel 2, his teammate, Dylan Schwallenberg, Sony shootout, he also proved that he could win there. But here in the duel, once he got out front, he was almost really difficult to pass. And 48 was there, and the 19 was there. But Rodriguez Racing, Monster Energy Racing, those two teams, probably the best teams heading into Daytona 500 Speed Weeks. Then you got to think Cybertron Motorsports, Curtis Racing, Turn Performance Racing. They're right there. And we have some upsets possibly that could happen. Some upsets that could happen. Flip side, JSR, Martin Motorsports, Team Velocity. A lot of parity.
I think this was a lot more of a what's the word I'm looking for? A validated W, though, by Dylan Schwallenberg. You really saw the pace out of the car here today. compared to the shootout, which was, pretty much a shit show by all definitions. They just wrecked it up for the most part. But this was really a validated performance by the 10 car.
Jake Baskinger is also another one to look out for. Obviously, defending champion, though, a step down from full time. Climbed his way up. For a moment we saw him kind of near the back of that main pack, but he climbed his way up to a 3rd place position. Pretty good starting spot for him. So, where he will start out in terms of the outside line, that is, but TBR can never sleep on them. They're always a consistent championship contender. Jesse Turner's won championships for a reason. Baskinger's won a championship for a reason. Shelley's been very streaky. He's been able to get some wins out of the hat. There are so many different teams. The next gen proving to be a big factor in the closing of gaps, more or less. They're creating such parity and variety. Manufacturers come in. Really, we could see a lot of shocks and upsets and maybe some disappointments from other drivers this season.
You see the drivers in the top 10. The top 10 finishers: Schwallenberg, Lamas, Bassinger, Caps, and Curtis, the top 5. Dejon Weeks dominated, but it's a 6th place finish in the duels, but it's the 500 that matters. Shade Eves, good solid run for him, 7th place. Eric DeMax, his teammate Dane Stinson. Jordan Fisher races his way in. He'll be in the Daytona 500.
Down.
Jesse Tunner, Ryan Acosta, Mitchell Collins, Will Goss, Brandon Beal will be going home along with Kev Shear. Toby Christie's going to the house. Bobo Jones looking to emulate the 2019 Daytona 500 win like Chris Dodd did with that team. He'll come deep in the pack. Diego Yepes will start in the race. Luke Martin will go to the rear and fall back on his speed. Further back, a lot of heartbreak back here. Blaze McKinney going home. Edward Ziemba, that's the first race ever Anjada will be in the Daytona 500. But they are a charter team, and they'll have to come from deep in the pack. Allison Liera also in the race. Charlie Smith going home. Nelson Reeves going home. Joshua Michaels also missing out. Cole Baker, Zach Rodgers documented on the last lap. Baker down pit road and had an issue. Fell a lap down, finishing 27th. Carson Clevenger finishing 28th, but unfortunately for him and Ace Wild, they'll be going home. And Cal Farrell, who blew up early, will start shotgun on the field. That is the 30-car finishers of Gatorade Duel 2. Anybody else want to say anything before we wrap it up?
Well, this is going to be a very fun season. So many rounds for a reason. Daytona, the biggest stadium, really, in terms of American motorsport, I would argue. Just such a prestigious event, more or less. I think it's the right way of trying to phrase it. It's so hard to win a Daytona 500. Putting yourself in a very good position to begin with can be one of those steps. You can win from anywhere, but ideally, you definitely want to be up near the front the whole time. That's how you want to do it. Avoid all the carnage. Put yourself in that prime position, whether it's strategy or just simply just having the car really to stay up front, whether you're behind someone or running in front, like we saw with Dylan Schwallenberg, Richard Johnson, Dejon Weeks, you name it. It's going to be very interesting to see how this car functions with all 42 cars, but I mean, we've seen drivers wreck it up. We've seen drivers play it clean. It's going to be a very long race, though, so some drivers, really, I think every driver has to think big picture here. You don't want to do anything too desperate early on, or just yet. You got to really time your aggression properly.
I just want to ask, because I don't think we covered it unless I was daydreaming, but who are the 2 drivers that made it in on time?
2 drivers making it in on time trial speed. It is Luke Martin. He did not race his way in this duel. He was the 4th fastest qualifier from Sunday. And Jake Bassinger raced in to allow Sean Perkins to get the last spot on speed. He was the 5th fastest.
That's pretty important, though.
Lucky for him, man. Lucky.
Pretty important.
So, who's our 500 picks? Let's lock him in right now.
Ooh. I don't know, man, but that's tough.
Lock him in.
I gotta lock.
I think I'll be
gotta
honest
do it.
here. Ooh, you go first.
I gotta lock in on Richard Johnson, man. I gotta do it.
Okay.
What about you, Dejon?
I was gonna pick Richard too, but I'm gonna go with somebody else here. I really, I'm feeling. Who am I feeling now? I gotta think here. You know what?
Don't say the 30 car.
I'm not gonna say.
He
What
should.
would I ever say myself? I'm gonna blow up, die. I don't know what's gonna happen to my car. Let's go Caps. I'm gonna go Caps. I'm gonna say Mitsubishi starts out this year with a bang, the biggest race of the season. They're gonna go win the 500.
I'm gonna be
Jay?
straightforward. I'm thinking Dejan. I think he's gonna cook. Just Monster Energy. They're just a really good team. It's gonna be crazy. Can't sleep on anybody though, regardless.
Well, I already know. but
You already know it. You know.
You
Yeah, so you don't
already
wanna
know.
spoil
We
it.
don't need yours.
y'all don't need mine.
Who finished
You
last?
fade that hole.
I'm
Yeah, who
not telling.
finishes last?
I'm not telling. I'm not saying nothing. But it looked
Probably
like
Shrigley. It's probably Shrigley.
that's. We'll talk about it Sunday. I know we're gonna talk
Something
about it
happened.
Sunday.
Something happened nasty in that race. It must have been.
For
Something
real.
Nasty happened.
We'll
What-
talk about
I
it
mean, just
Sunday.
sick.
Surely there's gonna be some shenanigans. I have a feeling there might be something stupid that's gonna happen.
But it looked like track position was very key, and it's going to be interesting to see if that continues to be the trend with 42 cars on track. Because it seemed like it was a little difficult to pass. It was easy if you had a really good car to maintain the lines, and if we get a green flag run and the pack splits up like it did, it's even easier to control the race. We saw Weeks do it. We saw Schwallenberg do it. Bobby Jones was doing it. Rodriguez was doing it. I mean, I think that's probably what's going to end up happening. If you got to get up there in the lead, you got to get aggressive. And Duel 2, they were taking their runs, but it wasn't as aggressive. And well, the Daytona 500, you're going to have to get aggressive at certain points, but like DJ said as well, I mean, got to be there at the end. You can't be overly aggressive, but you definitely have to be aggressive to get to the front.
I think it's definitely harder to pass late run, but I think if you can get that lead car with no help on the top and no one comes to help him, you can easily pass him. Or entering the corner, you've seen a couple of guys up top, they just drift up too high late in the run, and they don't stay real close to the corner panel and side draft them, and it just doesn't work out for them, and they just fall back, lose spots. That's what happened to DJ in this duel. I think it happened to Bassinger at one point when he was sitting on the top by himself. So it's possible, it's just kind of hard.
Oh, yeah.
It's got to be good timing.
Well, that is all for the duels. Next time you'll see, well, actually tomorrow, Zach, the trucks go racing. So that'll be the next video. Actually,
We got a blizzard in the forecast for Friday and Saturday. I
We're
don't
gonna
think
have
it's
a
going to
fist fight
pan
on
out.
Sunday.
Oh,
I think even Hardee's is having some issues with the weather.
no, surely the Cup race isn't the first race to air.
Again.
We're going to have NTS on Monday night and HNS next Monday night. The Monday night after that.
oh, no.
Clearly.
Speed Weeks for sure. Speed Weeks.
No, we'll get HNS out by Tuesday, I think, for sure.
We'll be here for a couple weeks.
Yeah, we might be stuck here in Daytona.
Might be stuck in
We gonna be
Florida,
stuck
man.
in Dubai
Somebody's gonna post the Daytona meme of it raining and flooding. That's Daytona tomorrow.
I mean, you have 1 terabyte up-down internet, so
It'll get up. It'll get
I
up.
mean, I do too.
someone will get it up. We'll get it up.
Well, thank you all for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Yep. Now we'll see if Noah can actually
No,
end
we
the
won't.
stream
I won't.
I don't
because
even
it
know
says
if
he's not broadcasting.
I don't
Just
even
click
know.
start again.
It wouldn't let me.
Oh my goodness.
It's just that easy.
You
Oh,
said
my
feature. Oh man,
What is
NVIDIA
bro
GeForce
doing?
I'm gonna
what
have
are
to-
we going on,
I'm
bro?
gonna have to
No,
turn
or
this
shut
thing
down his
off.
computer.
I'm gonna have to turn it off.
You just got a
Goodbye.
manual
Dejan's just like that,
shutdown.
Oh, what the hell, man?